Hey, welcome. I'm just gonna get a couple things set up before we really start. If you follow me regularly, you know I do this vertical video on my phone because you can't see my kitchen otherwise. Like the way that my kitchen, I have this like countertop that goes up. So I have to do it this way, but it doesn't make it very good for answering comments or anything like that. So I'm gonna have the comments over here on my laptop. So if you see me looking up and down at all times, that's pretty much what I'm doing. Hey, Kristen. So let me just get this set up real quick, and probably should turn the sound off so I'm not seeing myself here. Okay, so today we're going to be making Instant Pot bone broth using chicken bones, and it's a very nice looking golden stock that you get. You can buy it at the store, sure, but it costs a lot of money. And this is like what you can buy, or like the same thing that you can buy, even more nutritious, and it's for pennies. I mean, you can use kitchen scraps, things that you would otherwise throw out, and you can make a very nutritious drink or thing that you use with cooking. So I'm gonna put this aside. Before I get started, I do wanna welcome anybody who is coming from a Mindful Moms page, because you don't know me already. I'm Michelle Spring, and I blog at Thriving on Paleo. And just quickly give you a background on me. About 12 years ago, I found out I had what they called hypothyroid, which I'd gone to the doctor for because I was extremely tired. And they put me on some medication, and I felt a little bit better, but I never quite felt like so much better that I didn't have that nagging tiredness. I was just tired, no matter how much I slept, whatever, if I worked out or I didn't work out or anything like that. I just was tired all the time. And it eventually got so bad to the point where I couldn't even get home from school, and or like the kids got home from school, and I was just so tired that I couldn't even help my cook dinner or play with them or anything, and I just felt my life was going by. So I went to a functional medicine practitioner, found out that I actually have celiac autoimmune disease, which is where I'm allergic to gluten, and also that I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune disease that attacks my thyroid. And that's what my other doctor had diagnosed me as hypothyroid. But the difference with Hashimoto's is you can put it in remission. So with a paleo lifestyle and diet, I was able to put it into remission, and I feel so much better. And I'm 41 now, and I feel like so much more energetic and fantastic at 41 than I did at 25. So I live this lifestyle for that reason, and I will continue to do that. And the reason I write with this blog is so that way people like you can also live and feel fantastic as well. So that's just a little bit of a background on me. So let me just make sure. Hello, Kathy from Pennsylvania. So we're making the chicken stock bone broth today. I use the terms interchangeably. We call it chicken stock here at home. So if I say that, that's what I mean is bone broth. It's broth predominantly made with bones of an animal, either chicken or you can do beef. You could do pork if you wanted. I mean, there's all different kind of things, but it's mainly bones and some veggies and water, and that's how we're gonna do it. So the things that you're gonna need for it are bones. So I take like a chicken carcass, like if you've roasted chicken, or I actually did this chicken in the Instant Pot the other day. I have bones, and I just throw them in my freezer when I'm done, after peeling all the meat off. And then I just have this sitting in the freezer, and I can use it whenever I need to. And then I also use kitchen scraps. So if I take, like I have carrots like this, I will just cut off the tops of the carrots and throw it in this bag. Same thing with celery. The great parts of the celery are the tops of these, like the like flowery kind of leafy tops, and the bottom here that you don't need, those can go straight in the bag too. And then if you have some that are not looking so great, like you don't really want to use them because they're kind of going bad, you can throw them in there as well. You can also use fresh. It's not a problem. I've done that plenty of times. If I've used up all of my kitchen scraps, you can just chop up some veggies that you have in the kitchen. One nice thing too is the onion paper works really well. And then you also get the ends of the onions that you can do here too. Now, I sometimes don't put onions in my stock because I feed this to my dog, and it doesn't do well with dogs' stomachs because it can give them gas. So I tend to skip the onions, but if you're gonna just drink it for yourself or use it in your cooking, it is perfectly fine to use onions. You can use garlic. You can also use things like jalapenos to spice it up. You can put parsley in it. I mean, there's a wide range of things that you can put in it. I would stay away from leafy greens like kale or spinach or any of those kind of leafy things because they can tend to get bitter when they are cooked for a long time or under pressure like this. Let me just make sure I have, if it is a money saver for sure. So let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and start. So the Instant Pot, all you have to do is just take it right here and you just dump your bones in. Now, it doesn't have to be a full chicken carcass either. You can do, like say last night you had wings for the Super Bowl and you happen to have your wings left over and you froze them because you were thinking ahead. You can put those in there. I would just say like 2 large handfuls. So you see how this is kind of like a large handfuls? And it's about like the bones from like a 3 to 4 pound chicken. So that's approximately how much you want. And you just throw them in there. They can be frozen, they can be fresh, it doesn't matter. And then I just throw in a bunch of handfuls of the veggies. And I'm actually going to throw the onions in this time because I have this batch without onions for my dog. And yeah, just throw in, make sure you get a good variety of them, like a bunch of carrots, a bunch of celery, and a bunch of onion. And that is one giant onion hunk. I don't know where that came from. And again, if you're going to do this with fresh veggies, just chop them into like very roughly. It doesn't have to be like any sort of dice or anything like that. Just throw them in there chopped. You're using this for aromatics mainly. You're not using this for any sort of cooking. You're not going to eat these afterwards. They're just for like flavoring the broth. And then, let's see, so I've thrown that in. And then I put in a splash of apple cider vinegar. And this just, there's controversy over exactly what this does, but I like the flavor of it. Some people said it draws some of the minerals out of the bones, but I personally, I like the flavor. So that's why I do it. You can throw in some black peppercorns. And when I throw them in, I just kind of do a small little bit like this, small little palmful. And I kind of break them up with my fingers as I put them in. Just make sure I have no comments. So I throw those in. And again, that's for flavoring. If you don't like the flavor of black peppercorn, don't put it in. It's not like an overpowering flavor. It just gives it a nice kind of rounded spiciness. And then I put in 1 bay leaf, or bay leaf pieces. I have a lot of pieces here. So just a dried bay leaf. Put it in there. And some people put in salt at this point. I don't bother. I like to keep mine unsalted and then salt it when I'm doing my cooking or drinking it later. You can put in salt now as if you wish. Some people also like to put in like fish sauce for a little bit of umami. Again, this is such a like customized kind of recipe. It really doesn't matter how you do it. It's just, this is a basic guideline. So, okay. So in case you're just joining us, I have a chicken carcass, the bones frozen in here, and frozen carrots, celery, and onions, some peppercorns, some apple cider vinegar, and a bay leaf. And I think that is everything I need. I just make sure, looking on my thing. Yeah, and you can put parsley in here if you'd like to. And then you're gonna just take some filtered water. It's about 8 cups. It really depends on how many bones you have in here. So you just pour it on top, and you want to make sure that you don't go above that max fill line that's in your Instant Pot. And I actually could probably put a little bit more in there, but I'm not going to do that right now. Make you guys wait for me while I pour it all in. And then you're going to close the lid. And one thing I wanted to mention too is how I learned to close the lid is, I don't know if you can see right here, there's like a little triangle. And then on here, there's also a little triangle with an unlock symbol next to it. So that's how I like to line it up. This is where, when I was crying because I could not figure out how to get the lid, that's how I learned, was to make sure that those were lined up. And as Kristen has mentioned in her videos, make sure that the ring is sealed in there tightly. You have that all, so that way if it's not closing, that could be one of your problems. So you just close it, and then make sure your valve up here is in the sealing position. And then I plug it in, and let's see if you guys can see this. I hit the manual, and then I push it up to 40 minutes. You can do it longer. It is not a problem to do it longer. I just push it up to 40 minutes and I let it go. And I'm just gonna leave it now. But yeah, you can leave it for 30 minutes if you really need to have this quick. Will still make a flavorful broth. Or you can do it up to 2 hours if you really have like nothing to do and like you don't need your Instant Pot later that day. Just leave it in there for a couple hours. It's not, I mean, like if you've ever made crock pot chicken stock, you leave it in there like 24 hours and it's not gonna like overdo itself or something. You're just gathering more and more nutrients from the bones. So it's the same kind of thing. Some other things. If you want to make this with beef bones, you can do the same exact thing. I would roast the beef bones first though, just because it tends to impart kind of a bitter flavor into your stock if you don't roast them first. But it's the exact same kind of recipe other than that. So I would roast them at like 425 for about like 45 to 50 minutes. That should be fine. So you got that. And then if you wanted to make a veggie stock, you can do that as well. I would do like celery, carrots, onions, some garlic, some mushrooms, maybe some parsley. Again, stay away from the leafy greens. And only cook that for about 15 minutes. You don't need to like suck nutrients out of bones or anything with a veggie stock, and you don't want to pulverize the veggies or make them too bitter. So 15 minutes is fine. So that's enough for that. And when you're done with these, I would do the natural release. So that you just let it will beep at the end, and you just naturally let the pressure come or drop. You can quick release it, but I tend to just let it naturally release. And quick note, if you quick release, make sure you don't have it under your cabinet because it could strip the paint off your cabinet. Kind of learned that one the hard way. And you make sure you use a kitchen oven mitt or a towel or something like that to make sure you're not going to burn yourself as well. Let's see, what else do I have? Okay, once you've actually let it naturally release, then I take a fine mesh sieve like this, and a bowl, and then I just put the sieve over the bowl, and then I would take the inner liner out of the Instant Pot, and usually with oven mitts because it's still kind of hot, and then pour it all into here, and then you can throw out whatever's left in the liner and whatever is in here, and then you'll have a bowl of beautiful stock. And then once you've gotten that, I typically pour it into here, like into several of these half-gallon ball glass jars, and then we usually use it in our cooking and everything, but you can also freeze it. Like if you know you're going to be using like 2-cup measurements or something, freeze it in 2 cups. And I usually put these, I put it into a plastic bag like this and then lay it flat on a cookie sheet and then put it in the freezer until it's frozen. And then you can lay them flat in your freezer and they don't take up nearly as much space. This one's a bigger one of 4 cups, so there's just easy ways to do that. And then I also drink mine every night as a healing kind of broth to help with my gut and just to make sure that there's a lot of collagen, a lot of really great minerals and everything inside of a bone broth. So I usually just put in some pink salt, and I actually like to put ghee in mine too. And it sounds really weird to drink chicken stock with ghee, but it's really good. Maybe like a teaspoon. And so I'll just put the salt and the ghee in the bottom of my cup, heat up the chicken stock on the stove, and then pour it all in and then mix it together. I'll show you this real quick. I use one of these like little milk frother things, and it really mixes things like that really well. It's perfect for if you have to mix powders into drinks or anything. These things are handy and not very expensive. Just get it on Amazon. So yeah, and then you can also freeze it in like those silicone muffins tins. I meant to get that out and I forgot. But the silicone muffin tins are usually like about, I want to say a cup maybe. You can measure it out with water and check it beforehand. But that way you can also freeze it in those and then pop them out and put them in a bag and use them as you need as well. And then you can also do an ice cube tray and have a little 2 tablespoon measuring. But I don't usually have a case for needing 2 teaspoons of stock. Usually I need at least a 1/4 cup, usually more into like the 1 to 2 cup range. Let's see. Thank you, Kathy. Okay, and then let's see. I think I mentioned everything. I talked about chicken stock, bones, using beef, veggie, yeah. So if you haven't been following around, we are doing a giveaway of an Instant Pot, a Duo 6-quart. You can get the link if you sign up for our email. It will be in the email that we'll be sending out shortly. But you have to enter the word of the day, which is pineapple. And if that doesn't make sense, go and watch Kristen's video from earlier today when she talked about how to make a whole chicken and chicken breast. I actually learned a lot in that one, so I'm excited to actually try out chicken breast in the Instant Pot because I've never done that before. And then tomorrow we're going to be doing potatoes. Kristen's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll be doing sweet potatoes and white potatoes. And there's actually a difference between the two of them and how you cook them in the Instant Pot. So you'll learn about that. And then at 12 p.m. Eastern, like today, on my page, I'll be showing you mashed cauliflower, which is a lower carb version and perfect for someone who doesn't need either nightshades or want all of the carbs from a potato. So I think that's it. And do I have any other questions? Thank you, Leslie. If I don't have any questions, then I guess I will see you tomorrow for the mashed cauliflower. And make sure you watch Kristen's tomorrow as well.